Why can no one sit in silence anymore? Funny enough, I'm actually next to a street, so you can hear cars, everything, but there is almost no promise of silence ever, ever. When I say ever. And it's crazy because you may have clicked on this video because you are also trying to avoid silence and it's just trying to have something in the background. I don't blame you. I do the same thing too. I do this when I'm washing dishes. I do this when I'm going to the gym. But I want to share this experiment that I did about maybe 6 months ago or probably 8 months ago because I started in August of last year where I would start to go to the gym with no earbuds. And it was a choice that I had to make because I was just curious because I have been someone who has put earbuds in their ears for the whole time where sometimes it would almost sit in my ear for the entire day. And it's just interesting. It's such an interesting concept. I kind of want to share this experiment I did going to the gym where for 6 months I did not have any earbuds going to the gym. I went in, and someone would call it I raw dogged my entire time at the gym with no earbuds, just listening to the elevator music, I would say. And for the first 2 months, I realized that it was a bit hard, but at the same time, I also allowed myself to embrace the entire environment where I would start to socialize with people I normally didn't socialize with, and that was because I had earbuds in. And I started to develop these friendships at the gym where I would start to say hi, say how you doing, lifting, what day. It's kind of small talk, but that kind of energy helps you pick up your day and kind of pick you up while you're trying to accomplish either bench press, squats, etc. Bench press with no earbuds is the toughest thing I've ever done because imagine sitting in there with your silence, no spotter. I don't have a spotter, and just really taking it in, taking in the weight, and hearing your own self, your own body, your own self control of just how you're gonna plan to achieve this and push forward and push through. And those were probably my most difficult ones, but that's where the music would come in, is where you would avoid that pain, you would avoid that self control, you would avoid that focus. You would avoid that focus to really push through. And I think you can kind of combine all these elements in this world. But the reality is that when you have no earbuds for 6 months, for me, I start to realize that I start to find more focus inside my reps. I start to find myself better form inside of my reps. Uh, Believe it or not, it's true. When I think about silence, I really think about when do you have them in your life? And most of the time for me, and probably yourself as well, is that you probably have had silence happen when you were sick. Because when you're sick, you cannot socialize, I hope not, and you cannot go outside, you have to sit in bed, you have to bed rot, you have to feel all these horrible feelings that is going on to you when you're sick. And no one likes these horrible feelings that we're feeling. And so you're going through the motions of just trying to figure out what's going on with my body. You have this one problem in your life, and that is your health. And I just think it's interesting because in this one time in your life, when you're sick, when you have the flu, you're surrounded with silence. You're in your bed. Sometimes, if you're someone that wants to doom scroll your way out of your sickness, by all means. But this is an opportunity for you to reflect on what you have accomplished in the last 6 months. What have you accomplished when you were in great health? And it's a really big form of reflection for a lot of people because not a lot of times you set time for yourself to create those times of reflection. At least I don't. At least I don't for sure. Um, and so silence is a mirror of yourself. It's a mirror of what is in front of you. When I think about social media now, I think about how social media is a form of noise. It's a form of moments being captured. I'll use the Knicks as from this last weekend as a good example. The New York Knicks won after 53 years. I'm not sure if that's right or not, but they won after 53 years of not winning a championship. And a lot of people on my For You page, including myself, I would go to social media to kind of help experience those moments because I'm not able to go to New York City and then sit and watch the game and also go see the entire atmosphere and how it explodes. I can't. And I use social media as kind of like an inexpensive way, and a lot of people probably do too, to kind of have new moments, new experiences. And you can call it brain rot. Yes, I call it brain rot, but it's the most inexpensive form and way of purchasing a brand new moment. New way to look at it, right? I know. I know. It's crazy to believe that. It's really crazy to believe that it's really built off moments. And when you're someone that you're just not able to afford going to New York, for example, to the Knicks, then you miss out on the moments when you allow yourself to just go into social media and then doom scroll and allow those moments that are not even yours to be consumed for your own sake. And you start to miss out on opportunities. Like, for example, if you're listening to a podcast, you miss out on opportunities on listening to your environment. What's going on? What type of music is being played? What type of birds are in this environment? I never believed I would be a bird watcher, and I actually enjoy bird watching, identifying the birds when I see them and saying like, oh, that's a red robin. That's adorable. I don't see red robins usually. And then that's a blue jay. That's a blue jay bird. And you start to pick up these habits when you start to embrace your environments and allow the silence to come into your world. But I have a friend who we went out to the town, we enjoyed ourselves that night. And when we were heading our way back to the crib, what happened is that we were waiting for a bus, and this bus was like a 30-minute commute. And so we both hopped on the bus, and it was just us two and this guy. And mind you, I want you to know the way the bus is. So there is these two rows, and then there's this kind of like side row that's a bit awkward where you get to see the person across from you. But the thing is that he and I sat next to each other, and we were sitting like this. Mind you, we were sitting like this, and there is this guy that was directly sitting like this, and his peripheral view was just me. So he had his eye on me the whole entire time. And I remember sitting there, and I'm just like, it's like 15 minutes in, and this guy's still staring at me. And I'm like, I wonder if my friend is gonna say something. I'm wondering if he's gonna say something. And so we're still on this bus, we're in this route, and we're like 20 minutes in deep, and then we start to ring the thing, letting the bus driver know, hey, this is our stop. Next thing you know, he says, you have a really pretty face. I'm just like, thank you. I was like, I thought this dude was just creepy the whole time. He was just staring at my face for a good 20 minutes. And it just turns out he was just admiring my face, which I think is kind of crazy. And then I was like, okay, let me see who this guy is. And I asked him like, hey, how you doing? Where you from? Turns out he was a native in the place we were at. And it was just so unique because he was a cool guy. He was an immensely cool guy. He was talking about how he knew where the best pool spots were. He was probably one of the best pool players. He had like a pool stick. And he was just fun to talk with. And I'm like, there is no way that we were just silent for that whole time, and we didn't even spark a conversation. And it's crazy because once our ride finished, it was like a 5-minute right after that conversation sparked. And me and him looked at each other, and we were like, that was just a cool guy. He was just looking at my face the whole time. You recognize that? And he said, yeah, I recognize that. I was like, I was about to say something, but it was silent. It was awkward. It was just out there. We were just out there. We were just sitting. And I just thought it was so funny because that is like moments like those when you invite silence in, it can be its own thing. It can be it can be an awkward, it can be a reflection moment because at that time, I remember sitting down in the bus and just reflecting how beautiful our night was, how successful of a night it was, and just to be out with one of my closest friends and just enjoying it. And then to close out a night where there's this awkward guy looking at my face for about 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And next thing you know, he's a really cool guy. We asked for his name, asked where he's from, and what more is there to be? You embrace your environment and you get to know people you just never knew. And that's just part of the process of embracing your silence to you and your world and your environment. One of the best moments of silences for me throughout the day that I've appreciated more is sitting in my car in silence and just listening the entire ride, just how my car is, how my environment is, seeing what's surrounding me, if there's a band playing just down the street, or just being there, existing, allowing my mind to go at peace because you, as an adult and in your day-to-day life, you start to embrace so much information. There's this one like quote where it says that you can only make 600 choices a day, effective choices, mind you. I don't know if it's 600, but there's a certain number, a certain benchmark that humans will start to not make very effective choices after the certain benchmark. And it's true for the mind because our mind also seeks for that silence. But when we continue to invite the noise, the distraction, the social media, that all really starts to like pause and almost delay our entire moment of reflection of just how our day has gone. And yeah, it's just real, and you can avoid it all you want. You can avoid it, but the thing about it is though, it's just you're not being fair to yourself. You're not. You're like cheating yourself from reflecting on a good, a bad, and possibly a midday. And it's okay to have all three, because all three are a part of how you develop as a character, as a human being. And the silence is just a moment of just reflecting and taking in all of those portions into your life. Thanks for joining my Yap session, and I appreciate you so much. And hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Out of curiosity, like, why do you think a lot of people try to avoid silence? I felt I've stumbled across this question myself.
Because it's so awkward. It's awkward for people to sit in silence, especially around each other, which is really weird. If you can be in silence around each other at the same time and be comfortable, then you're in some kind of different frequency, rhythm. I don't know. Sounds
Yeah.
crazy.